I've been. All the places and spaces I've been.
In jazz, there have always been innovators of the music and unlikely heroes, such as Barney Josephson, a former shoe salesman from New Jersey, who would come in the late 1930s on the weekends to visit his favorite jazz clubs and hear his favorite groups. Now, Barney's favorite clubs were the Cotton Club, the Stork Club, Copacabana, just to name a few. But what Barney noticed when he came to these clubs were that the black jazz musicians always had to leave through the rear door, and black patrons were not allowed to come inside. So Barney envisioned opening up his own club. He would call it Cafe Society, a mocking name to the high society crowd. And its slogan was, "It was the wrong place for the right people." Now, Cafe Society wasn't any ordinary club. It was a jazz, blues, and musical review club. Now, when you arrived here at 2 Sheridan Square in Greenwich Village, you were greeted by a doorman who looked rather homeless. Matter of fact, he could have been homeless. He would take you downstairs and sit you at your table and then leave. It was part of the gag. Also, the club at Cafe Society had some incredible wall murals that poked fun at the high society people as well as the politics of the day. Now, as I said, the club opened December 1938, but there was one thing missing. Barney Josephson had no connection to the music world. He didn't know who the talent was. He met music impresario John Hammond, who had held several concerts, gospel, as well as blues and jazz at Carnegie Hall. And he told Barney, "I've got a singer by the name of Billie Holiday that's going to open up for us." And Barney Josephson replied, "Who is she?" And thus, John Hammond stayed on as the musical director, the unofficial musical director, and brought some incredible talent, such as Lena Horne, Sarah Vaughan, Lester Young, Big Joe Turner, Ella Fitzgerald, Imogene Coca, Zero Mostel, and Paul Robeson, just to name a few. Now, Cafe Society had now become the happening club in New York City, and everybody wanted to come to it. So Barney Josephson decided to open up a second club called Uptown Cafe Society. Now, Uptown Cafe Society, as well as 2 Sheridan Square, had some famous patrons, such as First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, Franklin Delano Roosevelt Jr., Congressman Adam Clayton Powell, as well as boxing legend Joe Louis and conductor Leonard Bernstein, just to name a few. Now, with all this good news, an ugly time in America came about in 1947, and it was the House of Un-American Activities Committee who made accusations that Cafe Society was a communist sympathizer, and there was also race mixing. Many charges that will remain and were found untrue. But there was always bad press, paranoia, and friends that were no longer friends. And there were unwilling performers unwilling to come to the Cafe Society. And there were many, many building inspectors. Barney Josephson finally decided to close the club March of 1949, thus ending one of the greatest jazz and cabaret clubs ever in New York City. Barney Josephson was an American hero, a man of great vision and courage. And Cafe Society, well, it was a symbol of what America can be when you let freedom ring or play.
Heroes of sponge cake.